My daughter, Mira. She was 8 when I introduced her to Daniel, the man I thought I would marry. At that time, I believed he was everything I had prayed for after years of raising Mira alone, stable, kind, financially secure, soft-spoken, and deeply affectionate toward me. Whenever he walked into a room, he carried an aura of calm confidence that made me feel safe in a way I hadn't experienced in years. But even in those early days, there was one thing that bothered me: Mira's unusual silence around him. Not dislike, not fear, just silence. A stillness that wrapped itself around her like a thick fog. I brushed it off, assuming she simply needed time to adjust. Children are sensitive after all. They pick up on new energies differently. The real moment, the one that changed everything, happened 3 months before the wedding. We were trying on dresses in a small bridal boutique, sunlight pouring through the windows, filling the room with a warm, dreamy glow. I stepped out of the dressing room in a beautiful ivory gown, and Mira's eyes immediately filled with tears. Not the happy kind, the terrified kind. She shook her head, ran toward me, and grabbed my hand so tightly her tiny fingers trembled. "Mom," she whispered, voice cracking, "please, don't marry him." I laughed at first, assuming she was frightened because big life changes overwhelm kids. I hugged her, stroked her hair, and told her everything would be okay. But she didn't stop shaking. She looked up with eyes that held a fear far too heavy for a child. "Mom, I saw him do something. Please don't marry him." My heart stopped. The air thinned. Something inside me twisted painfully. I knelt in front of her, searching her face. "What did you see?" I asked gently. But she froze, tears sliding down her cheeks as if the memory itself frightened her. "I can't say," she whispered. "He said not to." That sentence knocked the breath out of my chest. My skin went cold, my heart thundering. Why would an adult tell a child not to repeat something? I didn't show Mira my panic. I didn't want to scare her further. I held her, kissed her forehead, and promised her that she didn't have to talk until she was ready. But inside, I felt a storm rising. That night, after Mira fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying her trembling voice. My mind spiraled through 100 possibilities. Was Daniel rude to her? Did he yell? Did he frighten her somehow? Or worse? That thought alone made my stomach churn. I pushed it away, refusing to let my mind leap into darkness without proof. But the uneasiness stayed with me like a shadow. Over the next few days, I watched more closely, really watched. The small details I had ignored began piecing themselves together like shards of broken glass, forming a dangerous picture. Mira avoided being alone with him. If he walked into a room, she quietly found a reason to leave. If he spoke to her, she responded with shortest answers possible. And Daniel, once calm and warm, seemed oddly impatient with her now. His jaw tightened when she made mistakes. His smile stiffened when she didn't respond the way he liked. And one evening, I caught a strange flicker in his eyes, a look I couldn't read but instinctively distrusted. I needed answers, so I gently encouraged Mira to talk in her own time. I didn't interrogate her. I didn't pressure her. I simply made sure she knew she was safe. One night, as I tucked her into bed, she grabbed my wrist, the same trembling as before. "Mom," she whispered so softly it was almost a breath, "you won't be mad?" "Never," I promised. She took a shaky breath. "When you went to the store last week, Daniel came to my room." My vision blurred for a second. My throat tightened. "What did he do?" I asked, already fearing the answer but needing to know. Mira's lips trembled. "He sat on my bed, really close. He told me we would be family soon and that I needed to learn to listen to him. He said if I told you he talked to me, he would be sad and think I didn't want him as my new dad." My stomach turned. Not physical harm, but manipulation, emotional pressure, boundaries crossed. My instinct screamed louder than my thoughts. And even though nothing truly awful had happened yet, the fact he approached her privately and told her to keep a secret was enough for every part of me to ignite with a fierce protective fire. The next day, I didn't confront him immediately. Instead, I decided to test something, to catch truth in the smallest details. I pretended I needed to run out and asked Daniel to watch Mira for 10 minutes. I waited outside the door silently. Not a full minute later, I heard his tone soft but sharp beneath the surface. Why don't you talk to me? He asked Mira. Silence. You know your mom is marrying me. We need to bond. Silence again. Then his voice dropped lower. You don't want to make things difficult, do you? That was enough. I opened the door loudly, pretending I'd forgotten my wallet. Daniel jumped slightly. Mira's eyes darted to me with desperate relief. That night, when Mira slept, I confronted him. I expected denial, remorse, confusion, anything normal. But instead, his reaction chilled me to the bone. He smirked. She's being dramatic, he said. Kids lie when they don't want change. He didn't even try to hide the irritation in his voice. If she can't adjust, she'll have to learn. Learn? My heart dropped into a cold void. I realized then that I didn't know this man at all. Not really. I had seen the charm, the polished exterior, the rehearsed kindness. But Mira, my quiet, observant child, had seen something beneath that I had missed. I ended the engagement that very night. No explanations, no slow fade. I simply said it was over, told him to leave, and blocked him everywhere. He tried to argue, insult, guilt, and manipulate, but I didn't budge. I didn't owe him anything. My priority was my daughter, and he had crossed a line that could never be undone. For months afterward, Mira slept curled against me, still shaken but slowly healing. She would sometimes wake up from nightmares, but she always whispered, "Thank you for listening to me, Mom." Every time she said it, tears filled my eyes. I realized how easily I could have dismissed her, how close I had been to marrying a man who hid a different face when I wasn't watching. And I felt a wave of gratitude so deep it was almost painful. Children may be young, but their intuition is powerful. They see things adults are too distracted or too hopeful to notice. Mira protected me when she was the one I thought I needed to protect. And because of her small trembling warning, I escaped a life filled with quiet danger. I often look at her now, stronger, brighter, happier, and I think about the day she tugged on my wedding dress in the boutique. The day I laughed, until I realized she wasn't being dramatic. She was saving us both. My daughter didn't just stop me from marrying the wrong man. She opened my eyes. She reminded me that love should never require ignoring the fear in a child's voice. And most importantly, that sometimes the smallest whisper from the smallest person can save your whole life. In the end, my daughter's trembling whisper became the loudest truth I needed to hear. I had been so focused on building a future that I ignored the quiet warnings happening right in front of me. Mira didn't use big words or dramatic claims. She simply spoke from a place of innocence and instinct, a place adults often forget to trust. And because I finally listened, I was able to protect both of us from a life that could have slowly chipped away at our peace. What I learned is simple but unforgettable. Children notice everything. They feel energy long before we see behavior. Their discomfort is never meaningless, and their silence often speaks louder than any adult explanation. Ending the engagement wasn't just choosing safety, it was choosing to believe my daughter, to honor her fear, and to trust her perspective even when it challenged my hopes. Looking back, the real blessing wasn't losing a man, it was gaining a deeper connection with my child. She taught me that love isn't proven by overlooking red flags. It's proven by standing firm when someone you love whispers for help. And for that, I'll forever be grateful to her small voice that saved our future.